They don't have to be 900 words each. I mean, they could be just two nice
All news guys don't come up here. I don't know where they're going.
No, could be. Yeah.
And then some.
Well, it ought to. I mean, yeah, you could, like, for instance, you could. You could. We don't have time to take on.
Body.
You get a commitment on the phone. And just somebody who stayed. Whatever they have to say. Well, there's a story, you know. And
Oh, man.
I'll tell you what.
It's hitting me. I never had good luck.
He probably vaguely knows me. And but my point is, there's milling around afterwards. Because for an audience, you make it clear that you've covered up, that you're both on the ground floor together or something like that. Because he has. Bob did too for a few years, but he has the temperament to be very genial. And I always felt like you got.
Every single game without a home runner. So.
Well, I did it there. I'm yeah, that's what Sam told me. Yeah,
I told her, I said, whatever.
we'll probably be right there.
Okay.
Yeah, it started leaking.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming out. My name is Kenny Mossman, and we welcome you to OU. Just some quick procedural items before we get started. We'll have remarks from each of these four gentlemen, and so they'll come up here and speak. Then, pardon me, after that part of our press conference is concluded, we'll return them to their seats here at the table. As you can see, we have microphones already in place, and so we'll take the questions here for the four of them as a group. But again, we'll do that after their remarks. So with that, on a very momentous day, one of many for this gentleman who's had such a tremendous impact on our university, let me start off today's press conference by asking President David L. Boren to come forward and open our press conference. President Boren.
Well, indeed, it has been a momentous day, and we welcome all of you to this press conference. It's a very bittersweet moment for me when we realize that we are announcing that our head coach is stepping down, Bob Stoops, who has served us so well for so long. For Joe Castiglione and myself, this marks, along with working with Bob, 18 years together, which is the longest period of time that a head coach, an athletics director, and a president have worked together in the entire country of a major program at this time. So it's very hard to see it transition into a new beginning and into a new era. I've tried to think so many times what words I would use to sum up how we feel at the University of Oklahoma at this moment. I suppose the word deep appreciation comes to mind. We feel deep appreciation for all that Coach Stoops has done. He has had a lasting and an important impact on the football program at the University of Oklahoma and indeed on the university community writ large. Everyone realizes that he took a football program that was struggling and he brought it back to national prominence with the highest possible standards. We all know about his record. We can see around us, in fact, we are seated in the new stadium that recently expanded and improved. It's again testimony to the success of Coach Stoops and his program. We wouldn't have these kind of facilities. We have an outstanding recruiting class. There's so many things to be said about what he has contributed to the University of Oklahoma and to its present and to its future. We're going to be talking about his era for many years to come. But I want to express appreciation for him not as a coach, we all know his record, but as a person. Bob Stoops is a truly remarkable person. He's a person who stands up for what he believes in. He sets the highest possible standards. His reputation for personal integrity is so strong that in a recent poll taken nationally of other college football coaches across the country, when polled and asked if you were to have a son that you wanted to be coached by and play under another college coach in America, who would it be? Bob Stoops, going away, was named more often by his colleagues and his peers than any other coach in America. This really demonstrates the kind of respect he has. His own integrity is the reason that all of us share that deep, deep respect for him and appreciation for him. We're all proud that we've shared friendships with him, and we're proud that he is part of the University of Oklahoma family, such a special part of that family. So today, even as we think about a period of transition, we are really filled with appreciation for all that he has done, and we wish him and his family all the best in the future. I'm very happy about the fact that he has indicated his desire to stay in this community and to stay and be a part of this university family, to continue to serve in our athletics department as a special assistant to our athletics director, to provide help and advice when asked by our new head coach. You have to think about another thing, and you have to analyze this. Very few people pick the time, as Coach Stoops has picked, for their departure from a prominent position. Very few people make that decision about when it is time to go. And I would say that I've never seen it made with greater unselfishness and greater concern, not for himself mainly, but for the good of the institution and the strength of this program. He has decided to hand on this program to new leadership at a time when it's never been stronger. The facilities you see around you, you think about the recruiting class, the prospects for next year, the record that we've established, that he has established. What a generous thing to choose that moment based upon when it will be most beneficial to the program in the future and when it will continue to only increase in strength. It's a very unselfish act. When we look all across the country and we observe others in similar positions, I would have to say it's almost unique for a person to make that decision for himself and to make it with such generosity toward the institution of which he has been a part, such an important part, for 18 years. So I want to express on this occasion the deep appreciation, but also the deep admiration that all of us in this university community family have for Coach Stoops and his family, some of whom are here with us today. We wish you well, Coach Stoops. You could not have a greater group of fans who will be continue to be enhanced by your friendship in years to come and your continued participation here. So today is a day of, I say it's a bittersweet day because we have such mixed emotions. But above all, it's a day of celebration of you, Bob, as a great, I believe, and I've said it, I try to be absolutely objective about this, I think the most outstanding college football coach in America. I said that back at the time that I predicted that you would be when you first came here. I had every confidence. And you based your decision also on something else as we talked in the last couple of days. That is, you wanted to leave when you felt there was a well-placed successor, someone who was ready to take on the job of being head football coach. You wanted to leave when you could hand on the baton and the leadership to someone very special. And I think we all understand today, we celebrate not only you, but we celebrate the fact that you found that person. And when I think of Lincoln Riley and I observe him in action, I can only in many ways have memories of Bob Stoops at the same age, the same position in his career. And I see so many similarities. And so we thank you for having in mind that you wanted to hand off this responsibility to someone in whom you have confidence, someone who has the talent and the personal integrity, because it takes both to fill this position. So we could not be happier about our new head football coach who will be announced today, Lincoln Riley. He is a person that shares our values and shares our philosophies. And I think he will be an incredible fit at the University of Oklahoma. So I'd make the same prediction that I made when Bob Stoops came here, that we're getting ready to start another era of greatness for the University of Oklahoma. And we thank you, Bob, for making a decision in a time that allows that passing of the torch to occur to someone in whom you have confidence and in whom the entire university community has confidence. So there's simply no other words except the words thank you, and they're so inadequate. Thank you, Bob Stoops, for being the person you are. Thank you for being the kind of leader that you have been for this program. We owe you a debt of gratitude that we can never repay. And we just simply want to say those two simple words from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for a job exceptionally well done. Now, I think, Kenny, are we next going to hear from our athletics director? As I said, the three of us have had the privilege of working together so long that this is a difficult moment. We can virtually complete each other's sentences. We have been on the same page so often. And I can tell you that as a university president, to know that you have the kind of head football coach that has the right values and demonstrates them all the time, and that you have an athletics director running your program that is never going to surprise you with something you don't know about, should know about, or surprise you by any lack of appropriate values or total integrity. So it's a privilege to turn this over to our other partner together and in this unique partnership at the University of Oklahoma, Joe Castiglione.
Thank you very much, President Bourne. Thank you all for coming here today. As President Bourne said, there's always this notion in the back of anyone's mind that a day like this could happen, will happen at some point, but you always want to push it way off into the distance, particularly when we're constantly able to celebrate such continuity, consistency of success, never feeling entitled about the success we have, always finding a way to get better and try to go after more success in doing what's best to represent the University of Oklahoma and, most importantly, the student athletes that we are so privileged to lead through now, 18 years. I can vividly remember the day that we stood on the steps of Evans Hall. There was a tree there at that time. It lost its life somewhere along the way during its 18 years, but the stump is still preserved, special historic site. And I remember that day as we introduced Bob and Carol Stoops to the Sooner Nation, really the Sooner universe, because it's way bigger than a nation. And we had such excitement in our minds and our hearts and what could be. And we also knew about the road ahead. There was so much for us to discover. I had the fortune of having about a 5-month head start here at Oklahoma. Went through that season, my first few months here, and we knew we had to reposition this program to give it a chance to be successful both in the Big 12 Conference as well as to get back in a spot to competing for national championships. And amongst all the different achievements Coach Stoops had at that time, and you all know what those are, you've written about them countless times, I think what helped us have such a sense of confidence in him and certainly his family, because that's a big part of it, and then of the staff that he would assemble, goes right back to his inner fiber, his character, and his impeccable integrity. Oh, sure, he had special skills, such a gifted teacher and coach, but I think his character, which has been on display in so many different ways over the years, has been such an impetus to the kind of legendary success that we will celebrate. And always remember, I know that through that time and winning a national championship just 2 short years later, the renaissance that has occurred in our athletics program, not just in football, but his success has defined our ability to put others in a position to be successful. And I don't think it's a stretch whatsoever to think of the success like we've talked about just in the last 24 hours and what has occurred over not just this year, but the last several years in other sports that we sponsor. The championships, the record academic success, the facility revolution that's taken place in our campus that supports all sports. Think back to what Coach Stoops, his staff, and our student athletes have done for our university. And I can say on a personal note how much I appreciate as a leader being able to be part of a vision, to work to make a vision happen, and to know that you had Coach Stoops and all the other people, many, many others. I also think of other words that can define him. Certainly over 18 years, it's rare, as President Bourne mentioned, to have the president, an AD, and a coach in the same place. We sort of joked a few years ago that while the so-called Bowl Championship Series era was coming to a close, the BCS era would not necessarily quite be extinct because we were still lucky to have Bourne, Castiglione, and Stoops at the University of Oklahoma. I think, too, that when you go through such an opportunity to be at an incredible place like the University of Oklahoma, to embrace the expectations that our program has, that we have for the program itself. There's so much that people see, and there's much more that you don't. And to have a personal, professional type relationship with an AD and a coach, and of course with our president, where we can have the deepest, most profound conversations, to think boldly about whatever the future may be, may hold, or what we need to do to make it possible, and to emerge consistently with unanimity about what we're going to do is incredible. And so I think about trust as being one of the most important components of the glue that have helped us work together on behalf of so many people to help create success at the University of Oklahoma. And then another thing that a word I would use to define Coach Stoops and his leadership style is selflessness. And if you remember, back on the steps of Evans Hall that day, you got the first words out of his mouth that said, and when we have success, it would not be because of him. It would be because of the collective efforts of everyone else. Now, I will tell you that a lot of our success has definitely been related to him. And even in that selfless, deflect the credit style that he has, he needs to be celebrated and recognized for the Hall of Fame coach that he is, and certainly will become, when the vote gets taken, first ballot. But I think his leadership style, constantly focusing on what was best for his players first, all the time. His coaching staff, their families, the intentional efforts to keep people close to the program. You know what it is. You've written about it many, many times. Those things lead to such a quality of life that is rare and certainly special, but existing here at the University of Oklahoma. And I think part of the reason why we've been able to keep Coach Stoops here in Oklahoma for such a long period of time. And so on behalf of my wife, Krista, and our family, our staff, countless people that have been able to work with Coach Stoops through those years, we certainly are grateful we'll get a chance to continue to work with him now in a different role. But to Bob, to Carol, to Mackie, to Isaac, to Drake, thank you. We've had so many emotional moments together, but you, as people that have inspired us and many others to excellence and greatness, will never be forgotten. And we appreciate you. We'll have more time to have retrospective looks back in Coach Stoops' history to, again, recognize the special players, those achievements, and that'll be a lot, as we have a lot of ideas in store. And again, I think we have to reference the rare continuity and consistency of success that we've had that allows us to make a very special transition. I personally had a chance to meet Lincoln Riley, I think it might have been 8 years ago. He was in his mid-20s, already in a full-time coaching position, already having a lot of responsibility. I didn't know that we would ever have a chance to work together, but had that moment where we got to talk, and as any AD does, files that information away, never know when it's going to be called on, if ever. And then sort of because we have a lot of mutual colleagues in the profession, was able to kind of keep up with him. And then when Coach Stoops was in the position to go hire a new offensive coordinator and mentioned Coach Riley, it wasn't hard for me to get in lockstep, because I knew the person he was, the experiences that he had at such a young age, the responsibility that had been placed in his hands, and what kind of success he has done when that responsibility was placed in his hands. And so we've been very fortunate to have him here in these 2 years. And although we didn't quite script this, exactly how it has happened, I'd have to be totally honest with you that it crossed our minds that we might be looking at one of the true special rising stars that could be a head coach in very short term. And So here we are, with this this type of opportunity in front of us, and obviously with the conversations that Coach Stoops and I have had over a short period of time, but certainly over the time that Coach Riley has been here, and then of course with President Bourne, we could not be more fortunate to be in a position to continue that continuity, to use all the momentum that we have to our advantage, to recognize that we have truly somebody who is wiser in years than his chronological age would ever dictate. And now we're in a position to welcome him. But we'll do that in a minute. And first, though, I want to now recognize and call to the podium the person that is made it possible for us to see Oklahoma's true DNA, to see the true spirit of Oklahoma and Oklahoma football, what it means, truly means to the psyche of this state and those that love this university, to put us in a position to not only dream about being at the very top, but to get there and celebrate, and then recoil and have the excitement of get in a position to go do it again and again. And as I said, Coach, I'll remember, like everybody, all your accomplishments, but more than anything, I will remember you for the man you are and for the family that you have built. We appreciate you, we love you, and we want to celebrate you. And you come to the microphone now, and we'll give Bob a chance to make some remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Stoops.
I'm not used to ovations at media conferences, but I just got some notes to reference my statement earlier. But man, wow, where did 18 years go? Well, they flew by in an incredibly positive, great way for my family and I. So I've got many people to thank for it, and we'll go through some of that. Yes, stepping down after 18 years as the head football coach here at Oklahoma, and feel like I've been absolutely the luckiest, most fortunate guy in the world, been incredibly blessed to have experienced what we have over the last 18 and a half years. And I felt I didn't want to miss the right opportunity to be able to step away and hand this baton off to Lincoln Riley, and to help keep this all just going in a great direction. When you look at all the positives just coming off of the last couple of years, just moved into a state-of-the-art building, the coaches all being in place that have proven themselves to be excellent coaches, recruiting class, excellent team coming back. It was the right opportunity to be able to have a seamless transition, and that was important to me. And I feel like we're that it's going to work out just greater, as we move along. But first and foremost, to thank President Bourne for 18 and a half years ago hiring me, giving me a defensive coordinator an opportunity to be the head football coach at Oklahoma when the offense was struggling and the defense was pretty good here, from what I remember way back when. But not only for his leadership, he's been a great mentor to me, been a great friend, and has really been special in my life in many ways outside of just being my boss. And then also to work directly with Joe Castiglione on a daily basis, the same thing, not just a great leader and mentor, but a great friend, somebody I always knew. We've always had the same thoughts and have really worked together in a great way, and I appreciate Joe very much for his sometimes patience with me, but both very, very dear friends on top of being great bosses. My coaches, all of them out there out back, assistant coaches through the years have been incredible. I've been very, very lucky, to work with great coaches who, really have done an outstanding job developing our players. In this position, there's no way you're doing it alone. You do it with all those, the coaches, and I appreciate their hard work and loyalty. The young ones that are out there, as well as my immediate staff. A lot of extended personnel when you look at when you look at our training staff, our strength and conditioning, our doctor units, our secretarial staff, recruiting staff, goes on and on. The support staff has just been exceptional and been a great help to me, and are all, again, a big part of all the success that we've been able to have. More than anything, I think the hardest moment coming to terms with this was seeing my players just a little while ago. As they all know and will tell you, I love them dearly. Look at them all as your own children, and but I also know this is going to be great for them moving forward. So that made it easier. But I'm thankful and appreciative of the hard work that so many of these players over 18 years, going back to our first class in '99, who welcomed us here with open arms and wanted to be directed, and all the way through this class or this season in 2016. These guys have all worked and been a pleasure to coach, and I appreciate them in a great way. Lastly, the fans. Again, we've got the best fans in the country. 18 going on 19 straight years of sold-out stadiums. Anytime we're on the road, we always have a big crowd. Always at bowl games, we have a big crowd, and they're always following us, always passionate about us. And will continue to help this program move on and continue to win championships, just with your participation the way you have over the last 18 and a half years, and believe that'll just continue. Lastly, I've got to thank my family. Carol, my daughter Mackie's here, my twin sons Drake and Isaac. They're a major part of the success we've been able to have, to allow me the freedom to be able to work the crazy schedules that all of us coaches do, and to do it joyfully, happily, and Carol to nudge me and give me some good advice, quite often. All of that is really special, and I appreciate their patience, and there's a lot of great times that we've had over this time, but there's also some challenging times that they've weathered through with me and helped me come out on the other side in a positive way all the time. So anyway, love them dearly and appreciate them. But like I referenced in my statement, the coaching life is really equated to a relay race, and I really am grateful for my opportunity to run the race I have, and really feel confident and very confident as I pass the baton on to Lincoln Riley to continue to push this program forward, and believe he'll do it in a great way to continue to chase championships like we have, and directing our players in a very positive way. So thank you.
All right. We'll go ahead and then bring President Bourne and Joe back up.
Before we introduce Coach Riley, I do want to make time to actually bring up his family. We all have had a chance to get to know them for the last couple of years, but as I mentioned with Coach Stoops, the families involved in our culture in helping create that Sooner magic is so important, and they are a big part of what we do. And so I'd like to ask Caitlin and Sloan. And, well, where did Sloan and Stella go? There they are back there to come up and be with us now. If you guys will come up. Want me to do it? Yeah.
We're not used to coordinating our actions together in quite this way, although we do very often in other ways. But I think we're going to have the family come up and join us. And I think back, we have some reluctant participants, but I think they'll make their way here with us. Oh, I understand. Come up and join us. 18 years ago, I, with a lot of conviction, ended the program that we had on the steps of Evans Hall by making a presentation officially. And I said with great conviction that it would prove to be true. And as we've seen today, it's all come to pass in such a special, special way. And Bob Stoops has left his fingerprints on this institution, not only this program, but this entire institution in a lasting, lasting way. So today, I want to make the same introduction to you. I want all of us to join in welcoming the next great head coach of football at the University of Oklahoma, Coach Lincoln Riley. Get everyone up together. Once you two get right in the middle of the podium here, right? And Bob, then okay, here we go. Okay, here it is. This makes it official. Welcome to Lincoln.
Wow, what a day. A day as a young guy, as a coach, when you decide that you want to do this, these are things you just dream about. And I feel like I'm honestly living a dream right now. Just an incredible feeling. I can't tell you just how the two words that come to mind the most are honored and humbled. That's my biggest emotion that I feel right now. It's just an incredible feeling. It's to get a chance to be a part of this program 2 years ago was almost mind-blowing. It just was something that was so special to me. And 2 years later to be standing in this position is unbelievable. And it's in large part due to a lot of people that have helped shape me, guide me, support me, and for them I'm truly thankful. President Bourne, I want to thank you first. I've always been loyal to people that are willing to give you a chance, and you gave me a chance a few years ago along with Joe and Coach Stoops that I'll never forget. And like I told you today on the phone, one of my biggest points of motivation will be to do a great job for you. So thank you so much. To Joe Castiglione, our AD, and his entire staff. Those guys have been phenomenal for me since the day I walked in the door. I've got a special relationship with a lot of those guys, and it's when you're around these guys daily, it's easy to see why we win so much at Oklahoma. We've been stacking national championships up here in the last few days, and but it's not an accident. It's because we have great leadership, and Joe has been great to me all the way through, and I know he will be in this role as well. To Coach and his family, shoot. Sorry. He gave me a chance a few years ago that I'll never forget. His guidance has been incredible, and to be the guy to take over for him is an incredible honor. So thank you. To my family, Caitlin, my little girls, I love going home every day, and that's a key in this job. This job's tough, and I've got a great family to go to and a great wife, and thank you so much for everything. To the Board of Regents, especially Chairman Bennett, thank you guys so much. Your trust in me means a great deal, and I promise you I will give you guys everything that I can. I want to thank my family, my parents. This happened pretty quick, so they couldn't be here, but they've been instrumental in anything that is good about me, and so I want to thank them. I want to thank the players and the coaches, over the last 2 years, but honestly over, all the years here. Everybody here has built something incredibly special, and this is the best football program in the country. This is as good as it gets, and it's because of so many people, coaches, players. I want to thank all the former players. I want them to know that they are always welcome here as long as I'm here, and I have a ton of respect for everything that they've done, and I feel a strong sense of urgency to do my part to continue and push that as far along as we possibly can. To our fan base, I promise I'll give you everything I have. I think we will put out a team that's like we have over the last few years, that is tough, that is physical, that is passionate, and embodies just the best things about this state. I don't know that there's a football team or even a sports team anywhere that represents their state so perfectly and so well and shares so many great characteristics as this football team does with this state. And representing you is a great honor, and one I take incredibly seriously. To all the faculty and employees of this university, I was very fortunate growing up as a coach to be mentored by Donnie Duncan, and I think about him a lot today because I know this university meant a ton to him, and he gave me a lot of things. Was incredibly selfless, was an incredible mentor, and opened up my mind into the things that a job like this could entail, and understanding that while football is a big deal, and it's obviously a huge deal to this state and this university, we're only a part of this university. We're not everything, and we have to work in sync with every part and understand that we're in this together, that we represent each other, and I want the faculty, the staff, every employee here to know that our football team will love to represent them in any way we can, love to work hand in hand with them in any way we can, and very appreciative to be a part of you. This came together, so quickly, and again, but I feel prepared. I do. I've been lucky to be under, a few different head coaches in my time. Guys I want to thank: Mike Leach, Ruffin McNeil, and obviously Coach Stoops. Probably three of the most polar opposite head coaches that you could ever imagine. So I think I've seen both ends of the spectrum. But learned a lot from all, and I'm I've always tried to pay attention and to learn, and very, very appreciative for those guys. They all gave me opportunities at a young age and gave me trust and leeway to make mistakes, and I certainly have made plenty along the way, but have learned and grown, and I'm very, very thankful for them. And again, and to our current players, we had a great meeting with those guys today. They always will be our number one priority. I told them today, you always dream about this, but I am so thankful that I get a chance to do this, in this situation. I mean, what a dream come true, for me personally, with a great staff that I know and trust, with our support staff being in place, and then with a group of players that I know that I love. My role is going to be a little bit different with them now, but I think we have a lot of trust built up, and just cannot wait to get started. So thank you so much to everybody that's here, and Boomer Sooner. Thank you.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. I think probably the easiest way to do this, since we have a number of participants, is if you could just raise your hand and I'll call on you. We'll start with Dean, and just raise your hand and get my attention. And if you would, just direct your question to the person you'd like to answer it. So, Dean, go ahead.
Bob, congratulations for starters. But can you talk about the timing of the decision, because it is an odd time in June for this type of announcement?
Well, after 18 and a half years, when is the right time? We're in a cycle yearly that never stops, and it isn't. And then if that thought comes to you, whenever it is, after 18 and a half years, do you act on it immediately, or do you weigh it? And is that really what I want to do? Or there isn't a good time. That's the bottom line. And just here lately, really in the last week and a half, I knew it was the right thing to do for me personally, and the right thing to do moving forward for the program and for the university, that this would be a positive thing.
Let's go James, then we'll go Cliff, and then Myron.
Lincoln, congratulations, Bob. Congratulations on your great career. Lincoln, you've always talked about your mentors and the coaches that you've been with. And you just said they're the polar opposites, and yet you're sitting right in the middle of it. You've always talked about how you thought that was such a cool spot. Could you talk about that a little bit more, and maybe what you and Bob talked about as he passed the baton to you today?
Yeah, I think we're all shaped by the people that we're around, especially our mentors growing up. And I think, as a young coach, I know I said it when I got hired, I was so lucky to have different mentors that gave you different ideas, different responsibilities at young ages, and just really helped prepare me. And I've done my best to listen and to learn. And then, having coach as a mentor over the last few years has been incredible. I mean, just his track record speaks for itself. And then there's just so many things that he was able to pass along to me over the last few years, and will continue to do so. That made me really feel at ease with this. I think of all the head coaches that I've worked for, I think I am most similar to him. I think more aligned. Probably with him as far as just overall thought process, philosophies. But at the same time, I also know that part of this job is you've got to be yourself. You've got to take the lessons that you've learned from the great people and certainly apply those, but you've also got to be yourself. If you don't, then it won't work. And we've had some great conversations over the past few days, but honestly, we've had, not all obviously on this subject, but great conversations since the day I came to work for him. And we've been in sync. It's worked obviously great together when you look at the results. And I'm thrilled that he's going to be around here where I can pick his brain when I need him, because I promise you he'll get a phone call or two from me.
Coach Stoops, Lincoln's only been here for a couple of years. What did he show you in such a short period of time to give you the confidence to be able to step away like this?
Yeah, all the things he really showed and demonstrates on a daily basis, all the characteristics necessary to be a great leader and to be a successful head coach. He's a motivator. He's detailed, incredibly bright, and putting together, his game plans and his schemes, his play calling, his feel for the game. And I think probably the biggest part that I've noticed from day one is the ability to relate to the players, not just his offensive guys. He relates even to the defensive guys, and really does a great job of communicating with them and and relating with them.
Let's go Myron and then Janine.
Bob, you mentioned the why now. Is this something you've been thinking about? Is this something that that maybe, and when did you know that this was the decision you wanted to?
Well, I can't go back to when I start thinking about it. You know, every now and then, you know, heck, I might have thought about it 5 years ago at some point. But in the end, I really felt only in the last probably week to week and a half that this is something that I really started to feel that I would act on, and felt, you know, more and more as I really processed it, that this is positive, this is good, and this is the right time. And you know, and that's when I went to Joe Castiglione and presented that to him, and then to President Bourne shortly after.
Lincoln, congratulations, and Bob, congratulations as well. Will you continue to call plays on offense, or have you thought about that yet?
Yes, I will continue. Yeah.
Will still be the OC as well.
Yeah, I will continue to call plays. We'll figure out the staff structure, you know, as we move on. But you know, we've had one of the things that I've been blessed over the last 2 years is, even with the success we've had offensively, is, you know, we've been able to keep that offensive staff, you know, intact, which has not been easy to do. And so, you know, the fact that I've got some guys there that I can lean on and give more to is I've got a lot of great trust in them. And and I know they'll be there to support me and do a great job, just like they have the last 2 years.
Jenny, then John.
So this is related, but different questions for Joe and for Bob. Bob, when you hired Lincoln 2 years ago, you were obviously looking for an offensive coordinator, but as you talked to him, was there a thought, this could be the guy I passed the relay baton to? And then, Joe, related to that, to hire Lincoln instead of doing a search or looking around with the brand of Oklahoma, why, from your perspective, is he the right guy right now?
No, the initial hiring of Lincoln, I wasn't, you know, anticipating already this moment. That really is just, like I said, happened in the last couple of years, and really through this year, that I understood that this guy, you know, is bound to be a head coach, and a really good one. And so, you know, and that's what really in the last probably week and a half got me to move in that direction, because you know, this entire program that's been so positive, you know, if there isn't somebody there, the whole thing can be blown up, and would never have, you know, wanted that. So I might not have had those thoughts, but as it was, I knew this was the right opportunity, and for us to continue in the exact same direction that we've been going, and hopefully a couple games better.
Well, Jenny, I think back to the time Coach Riley came aboard, and as I mentioned in my earlier remarks, I had a chance to meet him and then, you know, cross paths a couple of times in the years following. So I had some familiarity with who he was and what he was doing and the type of responsibility he had at such a young age. And then, of course, as I mentioned, and Coach Stoops talking about him as the next offensive coordinator. But after he got here, like all of you in a lot of ways, others that had a chance to watch him and watch him interact with players, watch him take command of situations, see him handle a variety of different challenges, start to, you know, the thought starts to cross your mind, you know, he's demonstrating some pretty special qualities. No idea, you know, when, you know, some type of situation like this would ever occur, but took note of how he handled himself and his team around him, and himself in the community, and getting to know his family. And then, you know, during, I guess probably after that first season, Coach Stoops and I were having the typical end of the season conversation and talking about everything that had occurred in a transition, and obviously what we were able to achieve, and then started talking about individual coaches and what we need to do to get better, and just had a chance to recognized some of the special skills that Coach Riley had demonstrated and just took note. And, through that time, since, just had it in the back of my mind. I never expected it would be right now, but as any leader would do, you think about eventualities. You can't predict the exact timing, all cases, but I think back to a phrase that kind of gets used a lot, the right person at the right time. Maybe the good fortune of the stars aligning, for him being a person that we could attract to the University of Oklahoma through Coach Stoops, and seeing his special qualities, thinking about what is absolutely best for our program, which is always first and foremost in our mind. And then obviously thinking about Coach Stoops, and as he has said, what's most important to create a seamless transition. We certainly, he even said, it's obviously a question that I would have to answer, President Borden would have to answer, the board would have to answer if that was a direction, but it could be an option, and certainly a positive option. But I have to be, perfectly candid. I was doing my own assessment, even though Coach Riley didn't necessarily know that all the time. And same for President Borden. I don't want to speak for him, but this isn't it wasn't just the last week, or it's not even been a week that we started thinking about it. It's something that, again, we didn't have any plan in place, but crossed our mind.
Go John, then we'll go Ryan and Garen.
Yeah, Bob, there's a lot of factors, I'm sure, that go into this decision for you, whether it's your ability to spend more time with your family, watch your sons play their final year of high school ball, or you think about the stress level of being a D1 coach here, the health history of your father, for instance, of your family, or just Lincoln's readiness and the state of the program. Can you talk about how, or maybe describe how all those factors went into your decision, and which ones were pulling on you and which ones you maybe weren't?
I'd rather not be very, totally specific on it all. Obviously, personal things are personal. I think all of it goes into your decision, and not any one thing or not any one part of it, pushes you to over the edge. It's really the combination of all of these things, and I think, as much as anything, the primary one was that the right guy's right here, right now, and let's take advantage of that opportunity.
Okay, Ryan, Garen, and then Andrew.
Lincoln, you talked about being ready for this. When do you feel like you got to that point where you were ready for this, not only to be a head coach, but to be a head coach in a program like this? And what's that process been like over the last couple of years since you arrived here?
And I don't know that there's ever a one specific moment where all of a sudden you say, I'm ready. I just, again, I think I go back to the people that I've been able to learn from. And, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities where I was, fairly young for the position. Pretty much every one that I've ever had. And again, being able to learn from good people, being able to be around great players, it's they've worked out. They've done well, and then that along with being lucky, being at the right place at the right time with the right people, and I've worked hard, but I know how incredibly fortunate I am, and again, I just have a lot of confidence in the fact that these three guys have confidence in me. And I have a lot of confidence because of the players we have, the leadership that we have right now, all the great things that we have going on in our program right now, the best football facility in the country that we just moved into, the recruiting class, the wins, it's just there's so much momentum, and I don't know that you can ever sit there and say, yep, no doubt, I'm ready. There was that moment, but I'm confident in my ability to lead this team and this program, and confident in the people within the program to get the job done.
Garen, Andrew, and then Kerry. Garen.
Bob, you told us more than once that you might just step aside and go coach middle school or junior high basketball when this was all said and done. I don't know if that's literally on your list of things to do, but I am curious as to what you might like to do now that you don't have this on your plate any longer.
I'm just trying to get to this day. I really don't have no plan. I do not have a plan. I mean exactly what I'm going to do. It's a little bit frightening, definitely, but I'm really a spiritual person, and I believe until you open yourself up to something, you don't know what the opportunities are, that can come to you. So we'll see, what may flow my way.
Andrew.
Coach Stoops, there's a mix out there of people today that seem sad and then also offering congratulations. Where are you on that? Is this a sense of relief, or are you sad?
I'm not sad at all. I don't believe in that. As I said in my release, one of the favorite things I say in a lot of situations is to everything there is a season, and nothing's and it's time, and that's okay. And so I feel more grateful and appreciative and blessed that I had 18 and a half years doing this with great people, great fan base, an incredible legendary school, that I got this opportunity, and it's been a great ride. So I'm happy about it, and so I'm more happy about that than I am sad that this day's here. It went fast.
Bob, can they finally put your statue up?
I hope we can find it.
We know where it is.
And secondly,
yes, I guess the answer to that would be
Trailer bed is no longer around here, though.
secondly,
might be down in Texas somewhere.
could you have walked away if it wasn't done this way, to where?
Well, I thought I intimated at that. No, this thought wouldn't have come. I wouldn't have come to this feeling and this conclusion if the right guy wasn't here, and this whole program would have been blown up. So no, I wouldn't have, come to this, to where I am today if that was the case. And that's what primarily got me thinking about it. Is again, some personal issues in my life, which are all fine. I know there's been reports out there that something's terribly wrong with me, and that's not the case. But that a lot of circumstances together, as I said earlier, all of it together, and I knew the right guys here to continue on with all the positive we've been doing.
Let's go to John Shin, then we'll go back here, and then Jenny.
For Joe, you hired Bob when he was 38. Lincoln now is 33, I guess.
33. He'll be 34 in September. So he'll be 33. Yeah. He'll be one game, I think. He'll be 33. The next one, 34. Whatever.
Do you ever think you'd be hiring guys that young for a position this big?
Actually, I think my whole career of always trying to find the right person, the person that's prepared for whatever opportunity that we're trying to offer. And in Lincoln's case, he's far more prepared than maybe some that are at 43. And just by nature of the special opportunities that came to him very, very early, at a very early age. And we knew that, and we know that. So he has a lot more experienced person at the age of 33 than some might have at 38 or 40. It just doesn't matter. That's the way the coaching world is. Sometimes you work so hard to get that first opportunity. It might come at 24, it might come at 28, it might come at 34. You never know. But, when a person's gets it, then you try to make the most of it with experience. And that's why when talking with President Bourne, of course, with Bob, even, thinking through what Coach Riley was was doing in his 2 years here. You could see the experience level shine through in a variety of different ways. He was really comfortable, kind of like that commercial. You know, he was very comfortable in his own skin. And obviously, when a person like that exudes confidence, and I remember that being such a compelling characteristic of Coach Stoops when I had a long interview with him, that very first one when we met. You know, it's deep confidence. It's impressive, amongst many, many other characteristics, of course. But just, person doesn't have to flaunt it. You just know, you can tell when they have it and it's genuine. And Lincoln Riley's genuine.
Go back and they'll come up to Jenny and Barry.
Coach Stoops, when you got here 18 years ago, what did you imagine your career would be? Could you have thought that all this success was going to happen?
Well, I knew I was taking over one of the more special, if not the most special, football job in the country. I was, I watched Oklahoma as a kid back in Ohio, and with all the great backs and Coach Switzer's exciting teams, and so I felt, when I was taking it over, that done correctly, this is a job that can compete for championships. This is a job that you could stay for a long time, and always, and hoped I could live up to what this, the expectations and what this job people, expect of it. And fortunately, for a long time, we have. And and it isn't just me. I knew, and I said that, and I meant what Joe said. I said, if we did get it done right, this could be a job you'd be at a long time, and it would be because of the collective efforts of everybody that's chipped in to get it done. And fortunately, we hit the jackpot and got it rolling fast, with the second year winning the national championship, and that kick-started us to get things going fast.
Jenny, and then we'll wrap up with Barry.
Bob, Joe talked about the impact that football success has had on the entire athletic department, campus at large. Some of your fellow head coaches or your fellow head coaches are here today. What does that mean to you to see that impact on other programs and 4 national championships this year? Do you sort of take that personal to heart, the success of others?
Oh, I love it. I don't look at it as anything I have done. It's what this program has done, and like I said, it's everybody contributing together. I will say we have a very close-knit, very supportive group of head coaches in all sports that we really are, root for one another and want to support and help one another. There isn't any backbiting or any why is so-and-so this or that. It's everybody gets along and supports one another in a great way, and that begins with Joe and the many meetings we're in together. And I take great pride in it. I've always been one of those that I'm all for, Title IX. I'm all for, to me, campus and college is about all the sports. It isn't just about 1 or 2 sports. It's about everybody having an opportunity, male and female, and in all different sports. And I've always believed in that, and that's what makes all college campuses exciting, great, but I do feel pride as a program and as a university that we've all done so well, and that all these other sports have, this year winning national championships, and it still brings a great bright light to OU athletics, and it's positive.
Jenny, if I could add one thing that I think to support what Coach was saying, but I know, again, he deflects credit to a lot of others. You have to go back many, many, many years, his first year, and watch what happened since. I've often mentioned that I think Coach Stoops sees more prospective student athletes of other sports than the collective number in a given year that he might see for the sport of football. I mean, he is involved in every one of the recruiting opportunities for football, of course, but all the coaches will tell you how often that they'll bring prospective student athletes by and how generous he is with his time, even at practice. And that's, maybe it happens other places, but it's more rare than people would admit. And he initially, and ever since knew that football could impact positively the entire campus culture. And so it's not just now seeing those things come to fruition that we start thinking about it. It goes back to even his first years being on campus.
Okay, last question with Barry.
Yeah, Bob, Lincoln mentioned that you're more similar to him than he is to Ruffin McNeil or Mike Leach. We probably all agree with that. But when you look at Lincoln, do you see any similarities with Lincoln Riley and a young Bob Stoops?
Absolutely. I really do. And I think what benefited me, I thought all along I was more similar to Coach Spurrier than any other head coach I was around as well. And then Lincoln here the last few years, I believe I've even expressed that to Joe, that that he's more like me than than any of the some of these other coaches we've had around, and that so very much so that I felt that way.
What are the similarities that you see?
Oh, good looking, and
Good answer.
Now you start giving us more
well, I'm almost off the hook. So some of the similarities I feel the relation, being able to relate to players, the intensity, the details, I think just his game management, those things, and then I think there's just a leadership quality that you recognize when players are really listening to a guy, or and really taking to heart what he's saying, and then go out and demonstrate it. So I just felt his leadership, in a lot of those areas was evident to me, and hopefully I had those. I'm not saying I had all of those, but hopefully Coach Spurrier would say the same thing.
Okay, Mike Halk and his staff have 4 players that are here also that you can just interview one-on-one in the back. So if you seek out Mike, he can get you hooked up with them. Other than that, thank you, gentlemen, and we're dismissed.